Hello, everyone. We're back for another episode. And today I'm going to start introducing my guest with a little story. Well, I had the idea for this episode and this special subject when I read a little post she made. And I'm going to read to you what she posted. So she said, with my fan account at Ed concerts or anything like that, I learned how to have fun, not worry about anything or anyone. I embraced my silly side, a side of me I actually didn't even know I had. I allowed my inner child out, without guilt or shame. And you can be mature and still be silly and fun, and don't put people in a box. And it was a story where the subject was, you're so mature for your age, as if she had a choice. So I thought the subject was really interesting. And now she's going to introduce herself with that topic in mind. Welcome, Danielle.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about this. My fan account's Teddy Fan Forever, and my name's Danielle.
Sorry to already set the tone for this one.
I actually love that.
I'm trying to change some things because I never know how to start episodes.
I like that you did that because it actually made me tear up a little bit hearing that back again, I don't know.
I'm so sorry.
Oh no, a good kind. Like it was like therapeutic to hear someone read out loud the things that I say about this topic, So like it was a good thing because it helped calm my nerves and make me see why I'm doing this again. So I'm glad you did that.
Actually, this episode is going to be so important, I think, with this subject to talk about. And I bet some other fans will relate to that. And it's really important. So sorry, everyone, to already bring this up and set this tone with a more serious subject straight away. But keep listening to her story because I think we're going to learn a lot. And actually,
Yes.
I didn't read the second part. Because, you left a little message. You said something about Ed. You said, I know you won't see this, talking to Ed, but I do want to say thank you. You have truly helped my inner child start to heal and help push me to get out of my comfort zone more as well. Thanks for being part of my healing journey, even if you don't know it. So sweet. So sweet.
Yeah, I forgot I added that there, but yeah.
What was the comment thing you mentioned?
Oh, I added someone's comment on the post. She said, I don't remember, but it was when she was younger, people thought she was older, and now that she's older, people think she's 16 again because she's having fun or whatever. And that's what I relate to a lot. Like when I was younger, people literally said, when I was 14, they're like, I thought you were 18. When I was 18, people thought I was 25. And now I'm past that age and people are like, are you 16? And I'm like, whoa, that's weird. It just went backwards. Yeah. And I think because I'm having more fun and people see maturity as boring almost.
Well,
I don't know.
I feel like we shouldn't be confusing being immature with being silly.
Exactly.
That's two separate things, and someone can be really mature but know how to have fun and do silly things.
I agree, and those who recognize that do still say I'm mature and stuff. But then the people that don't, I guess, know the difference. Will say, are you super young? I thought you're young. Or I've even had people say when I'm being silly, are you drunk? And I'm like, no, I'm not drunk.
Yeah. Oh my God. You know what? You just reminded me. Sometimes when I was at parties, I wasn't drunk at all. But people would always tell me oh, you're so drunk. And I was like, I'm not. I'm just normal.
I'm just having fun, and that's what I said. I said, I guess I'm drunk on life, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so that's what I related to a lot with that comment on that girl's post. But anyways.
We talked about how this fan account you created helped you with that issue.
Yeah.
So let's go back to Where'd you say you're from? Sorry.
I'm from North Carolina. I wasn't born there, but I live in North Carolina right now.
So you're from the US, North Carolina, and you started your fan account how long ago?
Not even that long ago. It was in August of last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. So, like we said, it's kind of a harder subject, and I won't go into major details or anything, but I have been through a lot of trauma in my life. I think most of my life I went through trauma, even in young adulthood, but that caused a lot of issues where I ended up like being pushed and pushed more because of my anxiety and my panic attacks and issues I was having that I went to therapy. And when I went, we like realized like with everything I'd been through and the ideals and the like perspectives that were pushed on me, I was like, what would you say? Like denying, like, well, like almost purposely denying like good happy hormones because of the ideas and the things I was told. So I was never allowed to have fun. And then I was always being traumatized too. So it was like I was going through all these things a kid shouldn't, and then also being told you can't have fun. And then there's like religious abuse and just stuff like that. So like in my head, I'm like, you can't do these things for like a long time.
So your mindset
Yeah.
wasn't like, even from people in your life from the outside were kind of judging you.
Yeah, you can't have fun.
Also, like yourself telling yourself that you couldn't have fun and you couldn't act
like a kid. Yeah. Like I literally couldn't be a kid, and like when I would, I'd be shamed for it. And so like I was in the fandoms and I would lurk, but I like wasn't really allowed to or allowed to like Ed or anything like in high school. Like you'd think I would have more like freedom, but no, I still wasn't allowed to like him or really be on social media. So I'd do it kind of like on the down low against their wishes and go on there and lurk on Tumblr and stuff. So like I was in the fandom, but I never made a fan account because first off, those ideas like, well, that's childish, that's stupid. You shouldn't be obsessed with like, like well.
So do you mean like, sorry to cut you.
No, it's okay.
So you mean you thought being a fan was immature and silly and
yeah, so well, it was like what they told me as well, that I should not love the things of the world like that, and I should only like focus on God and read my Bible and never enjoy like anything outside of that. So like when I liked artists like Ed and One Direction and like different ones back then, I was told like that's wrong. So then I carried that idea, even though in my head I was like, well, I don't think it's really that wrong if, anyways.
Part of you had to believe it, even if it was like against your wishes.
Exactly. So I did a lot of detaching and suppressing of my enjoyment of things. So I wasn't really a kid and I would just lurk on fan pages, but I always desired to do something like that. I loved the memes, like Ed memes, One Direction memes, anyone I liked then. I was obsessed, but I just was like, whatever, I'm not going to do this.
So walk us through, when was that? Like, what was the first time you felt like, oh, I'm a fan of this group? Apparently it was One Direction, you said. I always ask this Sheerio question. So when was the first time that you heard Ed and the first time you felt like, oh, I'm a Sheerio now?
So, I'll focus on Ed because even with One Direction, I was not as hardcore as Ed. That was just the only band my parents sort of approved of because their topics were a little more childish, I guess, a little bit. So with Ed, I actually discovered him on YouTube because of the A-Team music video, I can't remember the exact details, but I found the A-Team music video and I was like, okay, I really like him. And I just felt this connection with his words. And that was like in 2011. And then he dropped Plus, and I found any way for me to get a hold of it. I think I went through Apple Music and got the album that way. I can't fully remember. But then I got like the CD once I could, because I was in America. So it was actually very weird that I discovered him so early on.
Well, I don't really know when Ed got big in America, because for me it was like he was big everywhere and I didn't understand how other people didn't know him. Like like I don't have that like correct
Well, I
perspective on
do
things.
have the knowledge. So, and for America, Ed wasn't on radio till in 2012, later
Mm.
on. So he wasn't on radio yet. So the only reason I knew him before he was on radio was because of YouTube. And then I used the Apple Music and then Spotify and stuff to like listen to him. And then he was on radio by 2012 later on. I can't remember the exact month,
Okay.
but I was already a big fan.
You were already a big fan as soon as you heard the 18.
So actually, yeah, I was connected. I liked him. He stuck in my head so that I pursued him. But it wasn't until I actually got to hear all the songs on Plus, that I really was like, okay, like his music really hits my soul
Mm.
because he thinks a lot like I do, I guess. So like the specific song that really stuck with me, I even posted the lyrics on my Facebook back then. Like that's how much I
Ah,
loved it, was
yeah.
Wake Me Up. Yeah, and I felt like the lyric, or like my love language, like he just thought of all these sweet little things about the girl, and I was like, that is so amazing, and I
Uh,
hope one day I could find someone to love me like that. And that
uh,
was how it all started for me. What?
oh yeah. Do you remember when like Facebook was kind of the thing back then? And I remember it was really cool. Like the cool kids were posting photos, and then in the caption you would put like lyrics from your favorite song and stuff. And like that was deep, and that was the cool thing to do. And so all my posts literally were like lyrics from Ed's.
That same. I'm glad you relate to that. And I did like the weird like squiggly like things. I don't know what they're called, like around it, and then like the hearts, but made out of,
Oh my
the
god, it was
symbols.
so
Like
cringe.
I know, and I look back, and then you do like the letters like different capitalization and stuff, and it just was a different time. Like,
Yeah,
and
it
I was a
was.
Tumblr girl, which was a totally different time, and not everyone was into Tumblr, but Ed Tumblr was on point. It like had such, in your feels sad girl stuff, and I loved it.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
This is taking us back, and I'm sorry for like the younger kids listening
yeah.
who like they are like, what the hell?
Oh, what is that?
It
Hey, we're just
was,
feeling nostalgic.
yeah, I mean, in this episode, we will. Like, that's the point,
Mhm.
I think.
Yes.
Like, listeners, keep listening because you're not ready.
Yeah.
I have some surprises prepared for you. But not for now. Let's carry on with that subject.
Yeah.
So, you said Wake Me Up was like the song that
Yes.
stuck with you the most. So would you say this was your like the song who made your Sheerio?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. By 2012, after I'd been listening to the album, Wake Me Up just really like impacted my soul. And so like I was just like, okay, I've never heard anyone like him. I like remember even just staring at the album like cover while he's singing and just being like like crying because it was like so amazing to me. And being with what I was going through, this is a big part of my story. That album, in a way, Ed, was there for me during a very hard time for me. Like my life had been very hard and I was very alone and there was nothing very consistent in my life. We moved a lot, there's a lot of hard stuff, like I said, trauma, and there was nothing consistent in my life, like nothing sentimental, nothing meaningful, but there was Ed. And that was the only artist and the only kind of like a person who has been there for me the most consistent in my life, and it started with Plus.
I totally get that. And
Mm.
I'm sure people relate because
Hmm.
his music, his lyrics, somehow it's always on point. And even if, like, maybe when he's writing, he doesn't mean it the way, like, you personally mean it and understand it and apply it to
Hmm.
your life, but it kind of always match. And, like, you know him from so many years, and all these years he was there, basically. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Give Me Love then was the second one to really hit me especially when the music video came out. Oh my gosh, I was like, oh wow, this one is like a different level of like he's like so intense in it and just like on his knees like give me love, and I'm like I feel this song so much. But anyway, so like that was like kind of my awakening moment.
Especially
Oh yeah.
performed live, I feel like he's really honest and he gives it his all. And back then he had the like raspy voice and like really intense.
I'm so sad I never got to hear him scream "Give me love" like that live. Sorry. Because I
Oh,
love when
really?
he's like, love me, give me love." That part, I love that. But and
Yeah.
live, he does a different thing, which is super cool too. So I'm not complaining. I just was like, I love that part. And I bet Ed was like, nah, I'm not going to do that on stage.
Well, did you know this song? Normally, like he made a long version, which is I think
Mhm.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you heard it?
Well, not in person.
No, not in
But
person. He never
okay.
does that. But I'm just saying that maybe the listeners don't know.
Um,
He made a special performance live for this song, the 10 minutes version, in a show, in a French show. It's called Taratata. Maybe I'll put the links and everything under this episode, but basically it's a show recorded as if it was live.
mhm.
Ed has been invited to that show since the first album, and he's like really friendly with the host of this show. And it's like really encouraging artists to be artists. And basically, as I understood it, they were the first one to say to Ed, yeah, of course you can take 10 minutes to perform one song and it's fine and do whatever you feel like. Check it out. It's really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know that shows. I loved seeing how connected he is with that show. And he loves you guys. He says that you guys are like the best crowd and stuff. Anyways.
I know.
I love that.
I mean, I'm going to enjoy every occasions that I hear this subject. Sorry, listeners, you're going to hear me speaking about that maybe a lot in this podcast, but I don't know. It makes me happy. What can I say? And yeah, I was also lucky to be in the crowd to the last time he was on that show, and it was for Subtract, and I cried a lot and everything. So yeah, I
Oh,
love
that's
that show
amazing
too.
you were there. Oh, that's so
Yeah.
special.
He was also performing new songs from Subtract. It was before Subtract when the recording of the show happened, and he had to catch a train, so leave early, and he left. And suddenly he came back, said he had 5 minutes to spare, and he decided to play, I think it was No Strings live, just acoustically, and it wasn't even recorded. It was just for us. Like, it felt like we were basically in a living room with Ed.
Oh, that's so special. Oh my gosh.
So
That is
intimate.
amazing.
Like, you can't go more intimate than that.
No, you can't. And I know No Strings is very special to him as well. So that's very, very sweet that he sang that. That's awesome.
And it was the first time.
First time. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody knew it. So,
That's
and yeah,
awesome.
he was really smiling a lot. He was really happy to be there. Yeah,
Oh.
really cool.
He always is so happy on that stage. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so you said Ed made you happy with that album, and it kind of helped you deal with everything that was going on around and stuff. So then, did you recognize yourself as a fan? Like you said, you didn't really allow yourself to be a fan and do that. So did you really accept it that you were a fan at that point?
Yeah. So I didn't suppress myself enough where I didn't accept I was. I knew I was a Sheerio. I mean, I felt a little bit on the outside because I didn't have a fan account. I didn't push to make friendships too much because people are like, I don't know who she is with this private account with like no posts really. And then I also like I did like One Direction then too, and I would follow along with that and call myself a Directioner. But because of everything that happened, and because of the way my family was and their views on life and stuff, I never got to go to one of Ed's concerts or One Direction's concerts. And this isn't about them. It's just around the same time I was an Ed fan first, and then it was One Direction. But it was like around the same time, so like I have memories intertwined with that, like of wanting to go to both, concerts and
Mm.
then not being able to, and it was hard. But I was way more hardcore for Ed, obviously, and I suppressed that more and hid it more because they were against him, and that's why One Direction was a little more in front in their eyes because they approved of them, not Ed.
Mm.
But that was just
Yeah.
their thing. Like I said, my parents like ideas of what's right and wrong and everything. And so like even one of my friends went and saw Ed when he was like only $20 and I couldn't go and I was so sad because that's how early
So
on it was.
so he was performing near you in America at that time.
Mm-hmm. Later, I think it was in 2012. It was out of college. I
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry that you couldn't, because now that all this time went by and now that we were about to celebrate the Multiply 10 years anniversary, and we're all feeling nostalgic and we're looking back from to all these years, we're like, oh, we wish we were there. We missed this, but I mean, we can't go back. And I'm
yeah.
glad that you still were able to discover Ed's music and feel like he was by your side all these years, even if you couldn't see him.
Exactly. Like, for me, because that was my world, I didn't even fathom how deep, truly deep the fandom went because, like, for me, I was like, well, I am a fan. I love him. I'm connected with him. I listen to his music all the time. It's like almost always what I would put on when I wanted to listen to music, which music is a huge part of my life. I'm very, very connected to music and I love it. But I later on now realized, going to concerts, like some people believe that defines you as a fan. And if you haven't gone to the concerts all these years, like, are you even a true fan? And it kind of
No, no,
hurts
no.
sometimes. Yeah.
No, no, no. No, no, no. No matter who says that, like, if you're someone who's listening and who has ever said that to someone, I want you to think about it, like, really. Because right now, I am judging you. Because how could you even think that? And you mentioned before, like, that personally you felt that you weren't as part really of the fandom because you weren't on the internet as much and on the groups and having
Hmm.
your own fan account.
Yeah.
And I'm here to say that all these years and until now, like the account I have now, I'm not calling it even a fan account, it's a podcast account. Anyways, from all these years, I've been part of the fandom. I know everything that happened. Even though I wasn't close to other fans as much, I wasn't talking to anyone or yeah, it was just me and a few of my friends who were listening. And I was part of the fandom. And anyways, that doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I would agree too. Exactly.
Even if someone just discovered Ed right now, like it's never too late. Like there are more people
Exactly.
who haven't yet. And you
Yeah.
can always change your mind. I know some people who didn't really love Ed before and now they love Ed. It's fine. Like whatever, everyone has their own story. And today I'm so happy that you feel really like you're being really honest with us and telling us what you thought back then and
Yeah.
telling us your story.
Yeah.
Like I'm really happy because I know people are listening and they will relate to that. And so yeah, just anyone who feels judged out there, don't, because that's not even a question. That's really not helpful, not relevant. No competition is allowed in my eyes. Basically,
Yes.
I'm telling
Thanks.
my
Yeah.
opinion. I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I think it's silly if anyone, judges a fan by how much merch they have or how many shows they have under their belts. I think, just that girl like I was sitting in her room alone, crying as she listened to his songs or feeling less alone. That's all that matters. Or guy, it doesn't have to be girl, but I'm describing myself. But like that girl, I know, and all these years, I know. how much Ed has meant to me, and you can't take that away from me, you know? Even if you tell me, well,
Mm.
you don't this or that, or you didn't whatever, or you don't know everything about him, I'm like, sorry, I don't know every shirt he's ever worn. Like, I'm not gonna know all this stuff, but it doesn't mean he doesn't mean a lot to me, so.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's cool that we all have different strengths. We're all like different strengths. Like for me, it's like, well, it doesn't mean you don't feel this way, but like I have this very deep knowledge and understanding of like the music of Ed's in its entirety, like what each song means to me or meant to even him. But I might not know the other details, and then other fans might know more of the interviews. But then the other fan knows more about the random knowledge. Like it's cool hearing how each person knows different stuff.
Yeah, and I might know something at one point and then forget about it and be reminded. And sometimes these kind of conversations bring back the memories, and that's
Mhm.
fun. And I'm not even saying that I know everything about it in 1 second. No,
But your
absolutely not.
knowledge benefits you as this podcast host too. So it's really good to have that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we have these memories and we bring these fun facts, and I use
Yeah.
them in games sometimes. And like, that's really fun. And, anyways, I feel
But
like
yeah,
we're going
I
off
yeah,
rails
so
now.
woo, okay, back on track.
And back on track, exactly. So I wanted to ask you,
Mhm.
now that we know your background, basically, can
Mhm.
you tell us about when the switch happened? Did it happen when you went to your first concert, maybe?
Yeah, I was gonna, yeah, like kind of paint the picture, but I'll do it
Mm.
in a speed mode of each album through my life because of the age I changed and the shift of everything. So, like, I actually have Ed's albums tattooed on me because it's like a timeline to my life, and so each one represents different things, life events and growth
Okay,
and things
you
that I
have
went through.
to detail that picture. Do you mean the
Yeah, so
symbols or do you mean the
yes.
actual?
So I have the symbols and they're colored. So it's in order because it represents my life. You know, Ed's mathematics tour is like a jumbled symbol picture.
Hmm.
I did it in order of plus, multiply, divide, equals, and you subtract. So yeah, so like with plus was the early years, you know, and like needing that like feeling alone, and then Ed making me feel less alone, but then also like dreaming of finding someone to love me like that. And then during Multiply, that was like a time where I was a little more open about loving Ed, but I still wasn't allowed to go to his concerts because I was still in high school. Um, and I was very connected to that album as well, but in a different way. But then when that album came out, I met my husband. We're actually high school sweethearts. And
Oh,
we listened to Multiply together. So we have a lot of that connected with our relationship as a couple because he loves Ed. He's actually pretty much a Sheerio.
do you remember Shadia's episode? Yeah, did you relate to that? I think
Yeah.
because she told her story about how she met her husband. She was in uni and she basically, like, he gifted her the Multiplies album and he tried to seduce her by, kind of
Yeah.
also liking Ed and stuff. Like, did you like that story?
Yes, I like that. And I haven't actually heard anyone with the same story. Most of my friends, significant other or husbands hate Ed. That's so mean to say, but they do hate
Oh
Ed.
my
I love you,
God.
Ed. Don't listen to this. No. Anyway, so they like actually despise. It's not like I just don't like him. But well, I guess I can't speak for them. They're probably gonna listen to this cut. My friends' husbands or their significant others don't care for Ed that much. So I haven't actually heard a story like that. So I did love hearing about that, like having someone whose husband also or significant other
Support.
does, yeah, supports
Yeah.
or enjoys Ed's music. And my husband, when we started dating, he became a well, I call him a Sheerio because technically he kind of is. He like knows all the words to Ed's songs and it like loves him a lot. And when we went to his concerts, my husband left saying I'm in love with Ed. Like he's like, I'm in love. Like as a joke. And I was like, he's like, let's go to another one. I was like, yes. So when we started
You
dating, we
must be
loved
a like the cheesiest couple in the crowd listening to
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, we were, and it's funny you say that because we're gonna get to that. So, and Multiply, yeah, we started dating. He discovered Ed through that, and we started dating in 2014 later on. And then I already was a fan since Plus. And when I told him, hey, Ed Sheeran, he's like, oh my gosh, yeah. I was like, I've loved him since, this time. And I told him my story, and he's like, no way, that is so cool. And he was like so excited because really no one where I lived, especially being in the South in America, knew Ed. Like, back when I first listened to Plus, I actually did in theater class a pantomime, and that's where you act out a scene like a mime and you pick a song for it. And I did The City, and I acted out being in a city apartment, and I did like all the like kind of like what he's dealing with, like the it's so loud, and like I acted that out, and I did The City, and everyone was like, who is this? I don't know who Ed Sheeran is.
You're
And I
the
was like,
coolest.
I know. I
Wow.
was like, wow, let me tell you about him. And I was so excited to tell everyone. Sorry, I'm getting excited. It was just very funny because no one knew him yet except one of my friends, anyways, and my sister. But she discovered him at the same time as me. Anyways, I like already knew, so I got to show him the Plus album, and I was like, you gotta listen to this one too. And he was like, whoa, I never heard that, which, I mean, makes sense. But so we were like both like loved Ed, and we would scream sing Multiply songs in the car. And then when he was going to college, he dedicated Photograph to me because he was leaving, like moving away. So Photograph like meant a lot to us that way because of that. I actually have a Facebook post where I talk about I like quoted the song, and then I said we always said this song was for us, and now the time has come and you're leaving, and I'll miss you, but I'll wait for you to come home. Yeah,
Oh.
super cheesy, like you said.
Yeah, super cheesy, but like we feel how honest it was back then. And if it's on
Yeah.
the Facebook post, it means that it's true. Like back then.
Yep. Yes, but like I said, we knew the time has come. So it was later, it was in 2015 I made the post because we knew that was going to happen. And then later on it did. So, anyways, and then with Divide was actually the year we got married. And Perfect actually was like our story because we fell in love when we were young, and we dreamt of like getting married and having kids together. So like even though Perfect's super cheesy, like Ed says,
Yeah.
it was literally like our story. I know him and Cherry it was later on, but like it was a little earlier on for me once we realized we were in love. Obviously it was in high school, but it was like connected to all these different life events for
Mm-hmm.
me. And then Equals came out after I had my second daughter. They're
Mm-hmm.
very young still. And I was going through a lot then with my mental health, and changes and perspectives and tides was like so much like what I was feeling with that. I literally like immediately played Equals and was so excited to hear it because it'd been a while, since Ed had
Uh-huh.
dropped an album. I was
Yeah.
so hyped, and hearing that and him having a child and like understanding those feelings as well, I was like very connected with Eagles
The
as well.
parallel of your life and his was like
Yes,
crazy. And the
it is.
timing.
It is. The only difference is I had two daughters at that point with
Mm.
Equals, but they're close together, 2 years apart, so it was, which his daughters are close together as well. But it was very like crazy because like I went through the same things like you were saying at the same time, and Ed was there for me in different moments for different reasons, some high and some low. And with Equals, there was a lot of highs and lows mixed, and then the
Mm.
season of Subtract came, and it was a lot of low for me as well, just like him. And Subtract came out, and I was like, am I literally listening to my life right now? Because I had gone through like all the same stuff, but in different ways, obviously.
Okay.
And I actually listened to that the day before my grandmother's memorial. It came out. And I literally was dealing with that grief right when I remember being in the shower listening to Salt Water and just like crying. And I was going through so much mentally too, and losing parts of myself to my mental health. And it just was like all the songs with grief, and my sister's diagnosed with cancer, and I just was like going through all of the same stuff, and then dealing with the stalker I had as well, which was freaky, and I just like was like one
What?
after another. Yeah, like I just was going through many, many different things. He did sort of in different ways, and it came at a perfect time for me to like deal with those emotions. And then end end of youth was a really big one for me because, as you know, with end of youth, it's talking
Yeah,
about like
yeah.
pain and things we go through or loss can like end our youth. And for him, he's like it. He said during a subtract show I went to, like he's like, for me, my youth ended when I lost those people, people I love, like Jamal and
Uh,
stuff. He's like, but for some people, it happens when they're kids, they lose someone. But like for me, it happened when I was a kid, but for a different reason other than loss of a loved
yeah.
one. It was like trauma. I'd gone through things no kid
Yeah, I was
should go
going to
through.
tell you that. Like, for
Yes.
me, it
Mm-hmm.
feels like a song that matches that topic, like where we're mentioning between being silly and being young and being allowed to act like a kid and laugh and have fun. And like, you're supposed to do that. And when you are told so many things and you feel the pressure of the world, I feel like you are robbed from this childhood.
Yes, I actually truly did not have, sadly, a childhood, and I was parentified, which is where you become an adult or almost the parent of your family, and I like took
Mm,
care of everyone, and I never had fun, and I was like the therapist of everyone, of my friends, of everybody. Like I was, the mom to everyone, the therapist to everyone. I was not the one you'd find laughing in the corner. I was the one you'd find like trying to make sure no one got hurt or like did something stupid. I was like taking care of everyone my whole life on top of dealing with trauma and things
mm.
no child should have when they were only like 9 years old done to them.
When you look at your spine page, and I mean, that's crazy because it's the opposite. Like, your fan page is so funny and silly and memes, and like, we see you wearing, I don't know, costumes and stuff,
Yes.
and like feeling life and doing all the things. And so it's the opposite. It's day
It
and night,
is.
the
It
switch.
is. And it just switched because, like, like when I used to be, like it was a no-brainer, like, oh, you must be like the oldest or the one that takes care of everyone. And now I was at one of the concerts and someone came up to me and she's like, you're like the last born, right? Because they're usually the silly ones. And I was like, wow, it's funny you say that. And I like briefly told her my story and she got super emotional and happy for me because I was like, this is not normal for me. And I usually am the uptight, take care of everyone, can't relax, like gotta be on all the time. And this is like me healing right now. You're watching that. And so it was very crazy to like hear someone ask me that. Like, are you the last born? I was like, okay. That's a good sign, I guess. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, there's a balance, and I still, like I said, I'm a mature person. I mean, I kind of have to be anyways. I'm a mom, but I'm very still deep thinking, and I do struggle with anxiety, so I think of every bad scenario in my head usually before it happens. But I am learning how to have fun and laugh and let loose and just embrace the things. Like I saw a quote. It said, your 20s is for doing the things your 13-year-old self wanted to do, but was ashamed to do or afraid to do. And I know that's not for everyone. Some people did have fun when they're young, but some of us didn't. And so we learn it later. And it's okay to do that even when you have kids. Like you can have fun. And I used to have bad mom
I'm
guilt.
telling you, especially when you have kids.
Yes, and I used to have such bad
Like,
mom guilt.
if you're not someone who can have fun with your kids, I mean, you
Yeah.
will be teaching them to be young adults, basically.
Exactly, which is a lot of what I went through. And it's funny because I had such bad mom guilt for so long as well. I was just buried in trauma, anxiety, depression, panic attacks, all these problems. Went to therapy. They're like, you need to build up good hormones. You have to do these things that are fun. while I was sitting there taking care of everybody around me, my family, my husband, my kids, everyone. And I'm like, but I can't. I have bad mom guilt. If I ever do anything fun, I feel so bad and guilty. And I went from that to my mental health getting so bad. I was like, I have to do this if my kids are gonna have a mom. So that's when
Yeah.
I broke. I was like, I have
Mm.
to do this now. And that was during Subtract era. So like Subtract had come out. So it's not even been that long. And it was during the tour and everything. Like that's crazy. And I was like, if I don't start doing this, I am gonna lose myself completely or something worse. And I was like, this. So I broke because I got in such a bad place, I guess, where I knew mom guilt, anxiety, fear, all that needs to go away, and I have to start doing this. And because I was buried in all that, like I said, so I was afraid to fly, afraid to go travel, afraid to make new friends, afraid, afraid, afraid. And I was like,
Mm.
I can't be afraid anymore. Yeah.
Wow. That's really powerful. And you had the courage to do that because when you're so, like you said, you were in a box, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so to break out from that box and realize it for yourself and deciding to make the switch and make it happen for yourself, like who inspired you to create the account? Was it your idea?
Yes, so here's how that went down. So, like, obviously, my therapist said I need to find ways to do this, and I was so excited the mathematics tour is happening because I could actually go to those concerts. And here's some of the songs I've been wanting to hear of Ed's. I missed out all these years because of my parents and then because of guilt and pregnancies and babies. So some of
Yeah.
it was technically my fault. Like Divide, I literally had just given birth when he was nearby, so I couldn't go.
Uh,
But I could have traveled, but again, that's the fear. I felt guilt and shame, so I never pushed for things. So then I was like, I'm gonna push for what I need right now. So I started getting
uh,
confidence to push for the things I wanted. So I was like, I'm gonna go to the mathematics tour. I do not care what anyone says. So we were like,
yes.
okay, we're gonna go. So that's when I went, and then we were like, that was the first time live. So I'd seen Ed on YouTube all these years. Like literally at this point, it was almost 12 years, I think. And I was like, this is insane. Like literally seeing him do the loop pedal live, I was blown away. Like literally my brain combusted. Like I never cussed, but I won't do it on here. But I literally was like screaming and then like cussing on accident because I just was like, this is so cool and insane. And it was my first ever concert because of the way my life was. So it wasn't like
Uh,
I was just going to concerts, but Ed I wasn't allowed to go to, or I was guilty for him or whatever. No, I literally went to none because my life was so hard. I was broke. I was having babies, whatever. And so this is my first concert and first Ed one, which was the person I
wow.
cared about the
So
most. Yeah.
special. And what a
Yes.
relief, I mean, to get to live your dream that you pushed away all these years.
I know, and I suppressed it so much. Like, I remember sitting there when my husband and I first started dating, and he's like, if you could meet any celebrity, which in my head, Ed isn't really like a celebrity, but like that was the question, who would it be? And I'm not super into that scene, celebrities, all that stuff. I don't really care much, but I admire Ed so much. And I was like, well, I would want to meet Ed. And that was literally back in 2014 when I told him that. And I kept it all these years. Like, I was like, I just want to meet Ed Sheeran. That's it. Like, and I said because I love his music and admire him as a person, and I think we're a lot alike and would get along. That's it. Not because, some people are like, oh, it's Ed Sheeran, he's famous, clout. I was like, no, I just care about him and his music. So I kept saying that all that time. Like, and so like for me, I was also seeing Ed, who I've admired and felt connected with as a person because of interviews and stuff. I was like, I relate to everything he says. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's real. Like, it's not like I thought, whoa,
Wow.
crazy celebrity. Like, he's, that thing in my head. It was just more
Suddenly
like,
he's there.
yeah, like I've heard him all this time, but he's in front of me. Like, he's a real person. And I had
How in
literally,
front of you was he?
well, okay, at this point, because I didn't know anything about concerts, I was 5 people back. Like, and it's the pit, so it's not like,
It's
like a
fine.
road. It was pretty close. And a funny story I'll add there. We were seated at first because I was nervous about the pit because I still was struggling with panic attacks. I was worried I might get one while I was in the pit.
Uh,
Um, and so I was like, let's just do seats. And then I was sitting there at the seat and I was like, I can't do this. I need to be down there. You know me, I love to dance to music. I'm crazy. Like when it comes to music, I'm like very like woohoo. So I was like, I have
Yeah.
to be down there. So we last minute bought pit tickets and ditched our seats and we ran down there. And
What
we were
the
only 5 people. Yeah, we were only 5 people back. It was 7 o'clock.
I can't believe that.
I know Atlanta, Georgia, people did not care, I guess. But the other ones I've been to, people were more uptight. So I guess something about Atlanta, people were just like, I'm here, whatever. Like they weren't intense there. So yeah, we went last minute down there and I was like blown away. It was insane and so happy. And we like went back to the hotel after and I was just like literally on cloud nine. I couldn't fall asleep. And it was very
Yeah.
exciting. And so after that happened, my husband literally says to me, "Can we go again?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, let me see." So I looked to see when the other dates were, because at this point, I was again suppressing desire to do things. So like I didn't think travel to see Ed, ever.
Mm.
So we're like, "Ooh, Tennessee. He's gonna be there, and that's around our anniversary. Let's go." So we literally planned that night to see Ed again in Tennessee. And so yeah, so it like that started like kind of like the like, wow, okay, obviously I've always loved Ed, but I finally got to go to the concerts, finally had money to do it. Finally, my kids were also at the age I could leave sometimes, and my mom guilt was like going away. So we go to that again, and this is the crazy series of events that triggered the fan account thing. So I'm learning to be silly, trying to do that during my trips with my husband, and we go there. And we, as you know, Ed was doing the pop-ups, remember, with
Yeah.
the promotional pop-ups and stuff. And so for Tennessee, which was Nashville, obviously, but
Was it
some
the
people might not know that.
sandwich thing?
So
No.
no, for Nashville, I thought, okay, every pop-up he did, he like showed up to. So of course, the chances are the one that we go to for this to hope to meet him, because I never thought it'd be possible I could meet him, like never in a
Mm.
million years. It's a scavenger hunt to get tickets and the Blue Monster. So it wasn't even like Ed would be
Oh.
there. I kind of held on to hope he might be at the end of it, but he wasn't. But I like, so we did that and we actually got the fourth one, which there was 10. So we got it pretty early on, which is cool. So we won free tickets and then the Blue Monster.
That's so
Um,
cool.
it was awesome and it was exciting. I was so freaking out because something I also did to myself a lot, which is why I never tried to do stuff as well, which had to do with trauma, also was the catastrophizing and the nothing good happens for me thing. So, like, not like a
Oh.
woe is me thing, but more like a there's no way I'm gonna win this. I never win anything. Like, why even try? So, like, while we were doing the scavenger hunt, I was like, there's no way. Like, I'm not gonna win one. In my head, I'm like, this is not gonna work out. And then I won it, and I was like, what? And that, like, shifted everything in my brain, started to shift. I was like, wait, if you want something, you actually put effort into it and actually express your dreams to somebody, you might be able to make it happen. Like the problem is being like suppressing yourself and having all these guilty thoughts like, oh, this is stupid, don't do it, and having even your family stop you from doing stuff like I did. That's the part that makes things
Mm.
maybe
Your
not
inner
happen for
voice
sure.
was like, I'm
Yeah.
picturing it like, in the Disney movies where you have like on your shoulders, like one shoulder is the devil and one
Hmm.
shoulder is the version of you like as an angel. And they are
Yes.
fighting like, no, do this, no, do that.
Exactly. I would feel what my heart desired in the positive, excited, funny Danielle inside me, and then the one I was trained to hear, and the one my trauma told me because of the bad stuff I went through all of my life. It was on the other shoulder saying, don't even try, nothing good happens for you. And, if you're too happy, something bad will happen too. Because every time I got happy as a kid, something really bad happened. So it was like that, like, mindset was there. And then I started to
Wow.
heal that, and therapy
Oh
it was
my
helping
God.
too. So like it was kind of experiences on top of therapy at the same time. So I was learning those
There's
tools while also learning through experience. Wait a minute, you're expressing yourselves, people are listening and helping, like my husband actually supporting my dreams, and now things are happening. And so like
a
that was like cool, but I had this feeling, just this gut feeling, because Ed had been there before, but that Ed would be at the Santa's pub. And so I was like, we have to go. So every night we went. Then the night of the concert happened. well, I actually tried to meet Ed after the Ryman show too, and I almost did, but my husband was falling asleep standing up,
Okay.
so we left, and then Ed came out after we left. But anyway, so that happened. I didn't learn that
Oh,
till later.
ouch.
Yeah, I was like, I almost met him then, and then the night of the concert happens, and I'm like, we gotta go to Santa's pub. But I have migraines, and I got a really bad one because of the heat, and I was literally like about to throw up, and I was like about to pass out because the pain was so bad. I get like really bad ones. So I
Okay.
like literally fell asleep in the Uber, and my husband just took me back to the hotel and was like, don't even try or
Uh,
attempt. And then I was like delirious and then fell asleep again. And then I woke up the next morning and I opened up my Instagram, and then there's Ed.
ow.
Yes, at Santa's pub. And my heart broke. That little girl inside me broke. And I was like,
It wasn't meant to
no.
happen. It
Yeah,
wasn't
so
meant.
like in my head, I'm like, if I just pushed and I just got past my migraine, I could have met him. And I was like
No.
so sad, and it like triggered this like series of events in my heart of like, I thought this would happen, it didn't. But this like for some reason it just inspired more of that like, you know what, I see I can have fun and be myself, and I need to learn to like my therapist said, do things to have fun. And I just have all this passion inside me I've suppressed for so long, and it's coming out, and I want to express it. So I'm going to make a fan account. And that's literally how it went. I didn't meet him, and then it
I
propelled
didn't
that passion.
I didn't expect that. Hold on. What
Yeah.
happened?
So it literally went from suppressing, sort of feeling something to, oh my gosh, all my feelings are flooding in, and all my sadness and even anger from like when I was younger in high school and all those times I missed out on things with Ed. It's all like, it like was kind of that thing that broke it all, because it was like, that moment I finally was close. I made the choice. I was learning. It didn't happen, and then I
You were
remember all the
almost
times.
angry and like
Yes, yes, I
trying for
started
the
to feel.
final act.
Yes, I finally started feeling even those feelings I suppressed as a kid. Some kids is like fight, flight, or freeze when they go through trauma. I was this thing called fawn, where you just like want to make everyone happy around you. So I suppressed everything I've ever wanted in life. Like Danielle didn't matter, everyone else mattered. My feelings, my heart, my desires, nothing matters. I just want to make everyone else happy. And not saying I'm still that heart. My heart's there. I'm that person, but I see that I matter too. So I started to see like I matter too. And I
Wow.
feel this passion that I've been suppressing for almost 12 years. I'm letting it out. So I made the account and got all inspired because Ed had been doing the AV promo stuff, and it was just so fun. And I was trying to interact with my personal account. It just wasn't working well. Like people just weren't really talking to me. And then I like, just felt disconnected. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going for it. And I decided to go with like a classic meme with a picture they had just posted of Ed, and it was
Mm.
very funny. It was that one where he like looks all mischievous and his foot is on like the like a chair, or it's like a TV stand. Anyways, I just was like, I'm gonna do this because I've loved the memes of Ed and even other people like One Direction, like I said, and stuff. So I've had all this suppressed inside me, I guess, like from all the years of observing and laughing at memes. So like I didn't think I'd be good at it. That was also part of why I didn't do a fan account. I thought I would suck. I would like get no followers, no one would talk to me. Like, just doomsday outlook again. And I was like, I don't care what people think. I don't care if anyone likes this. I don't care if anyone follows me. I'm doing it for me. And I made it. And then the craziest stuff happened all because of that moment, because I didn't meet Ed. It just was
No,
awesome.
no, no. But like you see, when you look at it, it's like, oh no, it's something
Yeah.
bad, it's something negative. And you were
Hmm.
so close, and like it can be so frustrating, but it wasn't your moment. But see
Hmm.
how something really good came out of it. And I suppose, like, from that point when you started the account, you then started to meet other shearers.
Yeah, so like the moment, it was so crazy. It was all meant to be, even with me making friends, because I've been at my lowest. Also, like I said, the trauma I dealt with in early adulthood was through friends. In a high school too, I just had the worst luck. And I used to think I was the issue because when you go through stuff for so long, you're like, I'm the problem then, and you start to feel like what's wrong with you because you just keep having these people hate you for no reason. So maybe you are the issue. And I just kept losing friends. They'd lie about me, make stuff up, hate me. There's nothing I was doing. They just would literally lie about some scenario that never happened and then say, I hate you, and like leave my life. And I was like, I don't know what's happening. And I lost my final friend in early adulthood when my daughter, because I got married young and had kids young. My daughter was like 1, and I lost her, the last friend from high school, and I was like, what the heck? And I tried to make friends after that, and it was just really hard. I had moved to a new place, COVID, all this stuff was going on, and I just couldn't meet anyone, and I was very lonely, and I was going
That's a
through all this
lot.
hard stuff. Yeah, all this stuff all alone.
I'm
Only
so
had my husband.
sorry.
Yeah, I didn't have family who were there for me. They like judged me for having my mental health issues, and I just was like completely alone. And so like I was dealing with that stuff too, and like literally feeling like, am I ever gonna have actual friends? Like I don't even know what a friendship is at this point. And
No
so
way.
so I make this account, not even like I think a day, the first day, I like already made my friend Lucy, and then I think the same day again, I'm at Tesla. And it was weird because I saw Tesla before that because I tried to win those tickets for the Hamptons show. And I
Mm,
saw that she got a surprise meet and greet with Ed. And I actually had a feeling somebody would get a surprise one. And it was her. And I saw Tesla and I remembered her name because it was unique. And
mm.
I was like, and then she shared my meme and I said, thanks for sharing. And then we started talking. And then I saw she was going to the LA gig because I was thinking about going to another one, but I didn't want to go, sorry, I'm talking since I didn't want to go by myself. So like I messaged her. This is how our friendship started. I messaged her like, "Hey, not to be weird, but I saw you're going to the LA gig. Is there any way, I could meet up and we could be there together? I don't want to be alone." And she's like, "Well, if my room wasn't even filled up, I would let you stay with me." And I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy." Like she trusts me already, and I gave her my personal account too. She could like tell I was real.
But do you know, like, I'm not even surprised because, like, that's what happened in a fan base where
Mhm.
you feel that people are all human and they're all accepting and like because you're part of this thing, which is like we're all connected to Ed, like
Mhm.
it brings this trust basically that you
Yeah.
won't normally have in your normal life meeting someone online or whatever. Like never, you would never like put these walls down, but somehow when it's about Sheerios, then it's all like we're all friends suddenly.
Yeah, and I think like we still use our smarts, and I obviously gave her my personal account, but I feel like Ed radiates, and because his soul is so like beautiful, that's like a weird way, I guess, to say it, but his soul is like he's a kind, loving person. He
Yeah, his
radiates, and
kindness,
then it
his
attracts
spirit.
us,
Yeah.
yes, and so it attracts most of the time very like loving, kind people, and I love that his fandom is very close knit and very chill and like all that because of him being like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so like we started talking about that gig, and that's like literally we like connected immediately, like we had known each other our whole life, and like we just met in LA, and everyone's like, I thought you guys known each other forever, and like through that I started meeting other people, and so it was like a domino effect, and we met more people, and then we met more people at gigs, and then more, it just kept continuing. And then we got our like core group of Sheerio friends now that we all talk to in our group chat and stuff.
Which is the Goat Squad.
Yeah, which started because of a meme I made.
Oh, it
I
was you?
noticed. Yes, so okay, so the funny story is that during I do the same sounds and screams for some reason every time and the same giggles when I watch Ed. I don't know how I do it, but I was noticing when I during Bloodstream at this part where Ed like crouches down and smiles to the side while he's doing the
Hmm.
guitar. I scream the same way and each time it sounded like a goat. And then my other friends after I screamed after me and they kind of sound like goats too. So I made this meme whereas like when it's this part of Bloodstream and Ed does this and then I put me
Suddenly
and
there's
literally
goats in the crowd.
yeah, so I put a edit of a goat screaming, and my voice was still there, and I literally matched pitch with the goat. Like that's sad. It's kind of embarrassing, but all you hear is like, I'm not gonna do it into the microphone, but like the screaming of the goat, and then you hear my friends scream and the goat sound with them, and so we all joked we're like we're goats for the goat, and so after that happened, and we were all joking we're goats for the goat, we were like Goat Squad, and that's just how it started.
Yeah, I see that. And I know everyone listening know what we're talking about because we heard Letitia's story and
Yes.
she told us about this famous goat.
Yep. Yeah. So it was just funny also thinking of like how, Ed is the
Mm.
goat. But
So
anyways,
would you say this Sheerio group now, like are your really life friends, like close
yeah,
friends in life?
we talk about everything. Ed is definitely part of the discussion, but we talk about our lives more than we talk about him. Not like in a like rude way, but I just mean like we're not sitting there every 2 seconds like Ed's the subject all the time. Um, yeah, we talk about work, we talk about love life stuff, hardships, struggles,
Hmm.
everything. So we're like
Yeah, so
real
you're
friends.
basically friends.
We are all friends and we just live in different places from each other, but we're all very close, and then Tesla and I are best friends. So, and I never
Okay.
knew what it was like to have supportive, loving women until I met all of them. So,
I feel like that's a good place to end.
yeah.
We need to hear that, and that's beautiful. And thanks, Ed, for that because he brought you to this
Hmm.
point, and you got through everything, and you gained some really good friends along the way. And I mean, thank you for speaking to me on this podcast because this story is amazing, and I'm so happy you were so honest, and thank you again.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm, glad you reached out and I got to, talk about this subject and share some of, you know, how, everything went in my story. And um but yeah, also to add, only 4 days after I made my fan account, Ed commented on my post. So I didn't expect that when I made my fan account, and it meant so much to me. And then he commented again, and I like couldn't believe it because I really didn't expect to be good at my fan account like I was, like not in a cocky way, but just like I thought I would suck. And then I had Ed's stamp of approval for my jokes. So it was really cool to like get that
Hmm.
experience and get my friendships too.
Sense of humor.
Yes.
That's the key.
Yeah, and I started to actually express myself and be myself, and then Ed thought I was funny. So it's cool that me healing my inner child and all the things Ed's helped me with helped my humor come out.
Yeah, and you got like the men's approval. Like
Yeah.
now you're free to live, thank God.
But yeah, it was super cool, and I've gotten experienced even more amazing things when I started traveling, my biggest fear, to London, and then I actually met Ed in London, so that was cool.
Oh, wow. Well, that's another part of the story that we're
Yep.
gonna leave there for now. Thank you for listening, guys. Thank you again, Danielle, for speaking to me. You tease the next part of the episode. We have more to talk about. And yeah, little surprises, little nostalgia, memory lane, stuff like that. So stick with us, and next part of the episode coming soon. Thank you, Danielle. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.